When you have a bald spot, especially a bald spot that hasn't had any growth in 5 years or more, which are most of the women that I work with, when you have a bald spot, there are crucial steps that you have to take in order to see some initial growth, continue to have that growth, and then maintain that growth. And if you go out of order, no matter what you do, you're not going to get the growth that you're looking for. Hi, my name is Talitha. I am an Army veteran, a registered nurse, and a traction alopecia expert. I am the founder and owner of the Natural Hair Confidant, and I help women with severe traction alopecia successfully reverse their traction alopecia, even if they haven't had any growth in 10 years or more. And so I am here to give you clarity on the exact steps you need to take if you are like most of my clients that have a bald spot, they haven't had any growth in 2 years or more. They've been to the dermatologist. They've tried the injections. None of that crap is working. Most of the time, the women that are coming to me, they're suffering from one of the 3 conditions. I have a video out there that goes really in depth in those 3 conditions. So if you haven't watched it, make sure you check out that video. But you're either suffering from trauma, you're suffering from inflammation, or you're suffering from some type of infection. If you haven't even addressed the culprit, the underlying issue, these methods, then it's pointless for you to even be trying to do the next steps to get growth. Because now, after you've gotten the culprit, these are the next steps that you need to take. The very first step that you have to take is you have to stop your hair from shedding. You cannot focus on getting growth if the strands that you still have left on your head are actually falling out. When your hair is shedding, it's called the estrogen phase. Your hair goes through a growth cycle. And in the growth cycle, the estrogen phase is a part of that cycle. But what's supposed to be falling out is hairs that are at the end of the growth cycle. And what's supposed to be happening is when this one falls out, another one sprouts. So you never even really notice the bald spot because it's supposed to be like a continuous, well-oiled machine. But when you're suffering with hair loss and you have some type of condition or something that's preventing your hair from growing, it's falling out and then there's no hair there to replace it, and that's how you end up with a bald spot. Those hairs are probably falling out because they're not at the end of their cycle. So you have to focus on stopping the shedding immediately. So then, after you've stopped your shedding, the next thing that you have to do is you have to wake up and stimulate your hair bulb in order to produce a new strand. Notice I didn't say wake up your follicle. So the way that you grow hair when your hair is already growing is completely different than the way that you grow your hair when you've had a bald spot and you haven't had any growth in 5 years. You guys are on 2 different types of hair care plans. When you have hair that's already growing, you want to focus on your hair follicle. When you have hair that has been dormant, you want to focus on your hair bulb. Let me say that again. When you have hair that has been dormant for at least 2 years or more, you want to focus on your hair bulb and not your hair follicle. And the reason why that is because the hair bulb is this little bitty area below at the bottom, at the base of your hair follicle. And what the hair bulb does is it produces new strands. That's what we're looking for when we have a bald spot, is to produce a new strands. So we need to focus on the area where the strand comes from, which is the hair bulb. And the only way to produce a new strand in your hair bulb is to give it the proper vitamins and nutrients that it needs. Because you have to get under your scalp where the hair bulb is to give it the proper nutrients so that it can produce a new strand. That's why Legends Love in a Bottle is so effective at producing strands in people who haven't had any growth in years, because it gets the nutrients directly to where it needs it, under your scalp and your hair bulb. How many of you didn't even know that you needed to focus on your hair bulb versus your hair follicle? Drop a little hand emoji down below if that was you. And then after you give it that boost that it needs with that nutrients, then after you have stopped your shedding, after you have given your hair bulb the proper nutrients to produce strands, now you focus on your growth. Most of the time, people are so focused on growth and maintaining the growth and getting new growth that they skip over the shedding. They skip over the hair bulb. None of that. You have to stop your hair from falling out. Then you have to get a new strand to grow before you can even focus on maintaining growth or getting that new growth. So I hope this video gave you some clarity. I hope it helps you understand the 3 steps you need to take, which is basically stop your hair from shedding and falling out so that you can wake up your hair bulb. You can give it the extra blood and nutrition that it needs in order to produce a new strand. And then once it produces that new strand, you can continue to get it to grow. You can maintain that growth and retain all of the length that you're having. You have to have a method to the madness. And that begins with understanding what that is, right? If you need assistance with stopping your hair from shedding, make sure you go over to my website, growmyedges.com. I have an excessive hair shedding kit that I will send you that's accompanied with a video that can get you together all the way. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video. If you know somebody that could find this video helpful, make sure you share it. All right,